password?
Ooga chaka.
Hey, buddy.
Excel.
Oh, wait, thank you.
Buy the cheap shit again. It tastes like this.
Hey, man, don't drink
Look at these two fucking ass clowns walking in like they own the place.
Doing a show here.
Goddamn millennials. Welcome to the Yancy St Speakeasy, episode number 19.
That was the second time you've started this when I'm just drinking something.
You set me up. You set me up for that.
Son of a bitch. I was just about to do it to you, but I didn't know if it was like as simple as just pressing the space bar.
Yeah, it's not. If you press spacebar, nothing would happen.
Oh. I'm going to figure it out. I will exact my fucking revenge.
Okay, so I'm Max.
And I'm Tracey.
And today we are going to rank the MCU movies.
Yeah.
From top to bottom.
We're going to make...
And then bottom to top.
Yes.
And then top to bottom again.
And then from the middle outward.
Mm-hmm.
And then alternating top, bottom, second top, second bottom. All the way. We're going to make lots of top and bottom jokes. Because obviously I'm bottom in this relationship.
Because you're Tracey LaFrance. That's
I'm
why.
Tracey LaFrance. And this is what we do. We'll try
this is what you do.
We're in this together, sweetie. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna try to spend. We're trying not to get too carried away with our reasonings. We'll keep it short and sweet for each one because there are 19 films. Mm-hmm. So we're not gonna give each one like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. This is my ranking.
Definitely gonna keep it under 2 hours.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I have to work, so you know.
Well, I mean, you don't have to. This is my last day This is my last day in Key West before I go back home for my little hiatus. I really need to get some work done on my master's project. It is not fun, and while I'm here, I'm far too distracted doing comic book stuff anyway.
All right, so let's dive right in for this one.
How dare you change the subject on me? I was bearing my soul. Anyway. Let's do it. You want to list our number ones?
No, I want to go from the bottom to the top.
So
when we did this for Star Wars a little while ago, we started with the top and went to the bottom.
Yeah, we thought it'd be too obvious.
Because also we also enjoyed trash talking it, so we wanted to lead up to that and give ourselves some time.
I do love trash talking some bad movies, but that's the thing about the Star Wars cinematic universe is there are truly trashy movies.
Really garbage.
The MCU, even its worst movies, are still like, in my head, like a 7 out of 10 or above. Still.
I wouldn't. The lowest on there are not 7s out of 10s, but I can still enjoy watching a movie that's a 5 or 6 out of 10 if it has,
Just Mr. Picky over here.
Well, I'm just saying, I can enjoy watching the movie. It's just there's such a wealth of good movies. Like, if you're putting your worst MCU movie at a 7 out of 10, that's that doesn't give you very much range to rank all the movies that have ever been better than that.
That's why we have decimals.
From 8 to 10.
So we have an infinite number of decimal points.
I hate decimal points.
So I give this a 7.6729 out of 10. And everyone hates me.
All right.
I'll go with one decimal point. Like if we're doing stars, I'll do 7.5 stars or something like that.
That's not a decimal. That's a 1.
7.5.
That's a 1 and a slash and a 2.
Whatever. Fractions.
Okay, so, movie number 19. Tracey, you go first. Just kidding, I'm going first.
Oh.
Just kidding, you can go first.
Thor 2, The Dark World.
Okay. Very reasonable, I would say, to be the worst. Yeah. Mine is The Incredible Hulk.
Really?
Yeah. I honestly really didn't like that movie. I thought I could see where Edward Norton wanted to take the character and make it gritty and dark, but I just feel like he didn't get there because that's not Bruce Banner, and he went half-seas. He was like, I'm awkward Bruce Banner, but also I'm dark and mysterious fugitive on the run.
Yeah.
It didn't carry off from me. I didn't like Liv Tyler, and we've already talked about a lot of this stuff before, but when we did our actual reviews. But yeah, it's my least favorite.
Thor 2, honestly, I remember Edward Norton's Hulk way better than I remember Thor 2, and I saw them round about the same time, and I remember, I just remember enjoying the Hulk more at points that had more character beats. I did love Edward Norton's portrayal of Bruce Banner, and even though it was a big old CGI fight scene at the end, I thought the Hulk moments were pretty well done. Thor 2 was just honestly the only thing that I truly enjoyed about that movie was the back and forth between Thor and Loki, which is always golden.
Yeah, and because of that, I found the movie more fun, which makes me like it.
Yeah.
One movie better.
I know, I was trying to look at it, like, more critically as, like, an overarching movie rather than, like... I tried to look at it as an individual movie and also as part of the greater universe, and I found that as part of the greater or as an individual movie, I thought Hulk was just, like, a little bit better balanced and written.
That's debatable, for sure, and it's not that easy to differentiate between the last two.
Yeah, it's tough.
But one of the other things is that tonally, it's the only MCU movie that doesn't fit at all.
Yeah, it really
There
doesn't.
are 18 others that have the same... they're all unique, but they all have this their style fits together, and the Incredible Hulk very much does not.
True.
So, my number 18 is Thor: The Dark World.
All right, my number 18 was Hulk.
Okay, so our worst two are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
With just one difference.
Yeah, I just, and you're right when you say about tonally, like, it was really weird to see Tony enter at the end of that movie, because it really didn't feel like it was part of the universe that he was in at the time, even though there'd only been 2 movies. His was so much more distinct to me, just because, I don't know.
It was more memorable. It had real style. Where, like, in a movie...
They both, I was going to say heart, but both of them actually had a good amount of heart, but Tony's World definitely had style.
I think that if they had really pulled, so Edward Norton, I feel like he really wanted to replicate the intensity of a movie like Fight Club. And, The Incredible Hulk isn't that character.
No, for sure.
And, you could make a comic book movie with that kind of tone, but Bruce Banner just doesn't fit that role.
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
I did appreciate that they showed him really trying to avoid getting angry. Like, he was desperately running from the power inside him the entire movie.
Yeah, there were definitely good parts about it. It overall fell kind of flat for me.
Yeah. And that's how Thor: The Dark World fell for me. All right, number 17. My number 17 is Iron Man 2.
My number 17 is Iron Man 3.
I thought that Iron Man 3... I think this was another issue of, like, form versus style. I thought Iron Man 3 had a little bit more style than Iron Man 2 did, even though Iron Man 2 might have been a little more solid. It's not quite as memorable for me. The scenes where Hammer was a good villain. The scenes where he was fighting, where introduction of War Machine and they duke it out in the house. Thought those were awesome. I thought there were an equal number of, like, awesome Tony moments in Iron Man 3, even though it got a little cheesy and cartoony, and I hated the final villain. I hated what was his Adrian.
Aldrich Killian.
Aldrich Killian. I tried to say Adrian.
Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian. He was kind of fell flat. The first half of that movie, though, just still stands out to me so much with the introduction of the
Mandarin.
Mandarin, thank you.
I think the thing for me is that it started off so well that the second half of the movie was such a disappointment.
Yeah, it was.
And if you've listened to this podcast before, there's a pretty good chance that you've heard me complain about doing stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
Spoon feeding for the kids.
Yeah.
So it's like if you really think about it, the first I don't know, third of this movie is Tony Stark, post-Avengers, with PTSD, struggling with his fame and responsibility, and there's a really badass domestic terrorist
who's
introduced as the villain.
Yeah, who's calling out him and calling out America.
Then, the second third of the movie, Tony goes to Tennessee and hangs out with a kid. And then the third act of the movie, you find out the domestic terrorist isn't real, and the real villain is like a really, really bland, like...
Just
handsome guy.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel that. Well,
it sets you up so well, and then just it doesn't follow through.
Yeah, I don't think I hated the second act of that movie as much as you did, but I definitely did dislike the ending. But like the strength of that beginning, whereas for Iron Man 2 it felt kind of wibbly wobbly all the way through. Where there was the standout moments were the fight in the house. For me, and a couple of parts at the beginning, but just Whiplash was weak.
Yeah, Whiplash sucked.
The big robot battle at the end was a little bit weak. The final battle with Whiplash was weak. Hammer was there, but he was for all of the kind of a cool kind of weak weak man sort of villain that he could have been. He ended up being. He just wasn't in the movie that much. And
yeah, he's really fun to watch because he is pretty funny, but they really they made him. They never really ramped him up from funny to dark or to bad, and they really wanted to let Whiplash be the villain, but he never stepped up and really gave you that intimidation. So
yeah, all right, so. I'm assuming that Iron Man 2 is your next.
Well, I wanted to. Yeah, actually. So the thing about Iron Man 2 is that Whiplash. Oh, actually, was it? Wait, I just assumed you were right.
Yeah, 16 is my Iron Man 3.
16 is Iron Man 2. So for Iron Man 2, there was enough good things that I liked about it. I liked Nick Fury's part in it. I liked the introduction of Black Widow. I liked Rhodey becoming War Machine.
Yeah.
You know, there was enough good in it that it stepped above Iron Man 3. You know, I didn't feel like there were moments for the kids. Like in Iron Man 3 there's just the little things like when Tony gets hit in the crotch with the crossplate. That's the stuff that I just hate in movies.
Well, so I don't necessarily dislike things for the kid. I love animated shit, and I love watching anime, and so that's kind of inherent in those mediums. So I think I've been subjected to that enough that it's a little bit more. I'm a little more desensitized to it when I see it in like live action movies and stuff like that. The MCU has been pretty smart when they do use slapstick. They've been very smart about it in the past. So I guess I'm more forgiving of silliness like that than you are.
Yeah, you know, and silliness is there's a delicate balance of humor and stupid.
Yeah.
To me, and it's personal, you know. They're different when it comes to that.
Right. At the end of the day, though, I thought that Iron Man 3 had just the parts where Tony was being Tony. I think there were more of those parts that were more stylistic. I felt like he was a little bit more alive in that movie than he was in 2. Even though it had some lame parts. Plenty of lame parts. Anyway.
Yeah, neither of them were that great, but both of them are still pretty fun to watch.
I mean, again, all of the movies in this list I have no issue watching. I can't stress that enough. This was a really tough list for me to make.
Yeah, for me it's tough. It's like... Yeah, I really would watch any one of them over pretty much any time.
Yeah. 15. Mine is Age of Ultron.
Mine is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So, for Guardians 2, again, there's a lot in it that I like, but now we're getting into now that we're at 15 and up, it really does start to get nitpicking as to
It really is.
you know.
Yeah, we were talking. We both started with our when we started making this list. We started with our top 3, and then we started with our bottom 3, and then worked inward because it's the ones in the middle that really get you. There's ones in the middle that are like really tough to differentiate, and then for me, some of them it came down to ranking them. It came down to like a misstep in the plot, or a single stupid character moment, or a lack of the jokes hitting as well as another one.
Yeah, so for me, for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I did really like the movie. There were certain things that I didn't love. Like, I actually really didn't love the Sovereign.
Yeah. I know they're going to be like important to the introduction of Adam Warlock and everything.
Yeah, I think that they are going to be important, and it's just like they were so, the pompousness was so overdone that it just, you know what I mean?
For sure.
It's just a little bit silly.
Yeah.
Some of them, like, honestly, in that movie, it's really hard to say exactly what I didn't like, because a lot of times there was something that made me laugh really hard, and then literally the exact next joke in the same bit, in the same moment, I was like, oh,
you make you groan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll get back to something that'll really make me laugh. So
yeah, I just in terms of the overall, the humor still struck pretty good chords from this movie. I think we've mentioned it's definitely more mean-spirited than the first one, and like I get they were trying to like make them like their family kind of like joshing each other, pushing each other's buttons, but it's just it seemed a little bit out of place when the fate of the galaxy was on the line. All the time. It had a lot of amazing character moments in it for me though, and I thought the plot flowed better than in Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron, for every moment I was like, yes, there was equal of moment I was like, huh? It seemed I was upset with Quicksilver's quick introduction and quick death. Didn't see that coming, and I was for every scene that I loved James Spader's Ultron, I was disappointed with like the abruptness of his appearance and rise to power, and also his acquisition of an army seemingly out of nowhere, and it just the plot was a little bit more muddled for me.
The plot for Guardians is a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah.
The plot for Guardians was a little bit more structured, but I still didn't enjoy it quite as much, because it's like it's a touch more violent, you know, and it gets to the point of where it's like cartoon violence, where in some scenes like people seem to be getting pretty badly hurt, but it's not really. It's like very much shrugged off.
Yeah.
You know, like if you think about it, the scene where Rocket is taking out all the Ravagers, that's like a pretty aggressive and violent attack. And I know they were kind of trying to make it seem like it wasn't murder, but it was still pretty brutal if you kind of think about it.
I kind of loved that scene.
Well, it just didn't really fit with the rest of the movie to me, you know what I mean? It just, like, that's I don't know.
A little bit.
Not the fact that I liked the fact that he was prepared.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, the guys were getting launched 40 feet in the air.
That was,
like, again, that's just
silly.
the cartoony part where it's like, is this violent? Is it silly? Like, I'm not really sure.
I think that Guardian movie was like, the Guardians in general are a tad bit more silly than the Avengers, but that particular one was a little bit over the top, I agree. Plus the goofy face warping when they were jumping through hyperspace and everything like that.
Yes.
And then Baby Groot's lack of usefulness was irritating to me. But also in Age of Ultron, it just
It's just...
It wasn't focused, and they tried to smush too many things into one movie. They tried to introduce too many things and too many concepts. The introduction of Vision was awesome.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't really know who he was at the time, I thought.
So should I tell you that my number 14 is Avengers: Age of Ultron?
Is it? And then my number 14 is my number 14 was Thor.
The original Thor?
The original Thor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so, before we get off of Ultron, I guess we'll transition from Guardians to Ultron,
Yeah.
and then go to Thor next. And then, so, for Ultron, the first 2 times or so that I watched it, I did kind of feel a little bit like, what? Because they tried to jam too much in there. After rewatching it a couple of times, I feel like it holds up a little bit better. Maybe because I know what's happening, it's easier to follow.
Yeah.
I did really like the Vision reveal. But there were a couple of things, like I've said before, early in the plot, in the beginning, I just really was frustrated with. I loved a lot of the character moments, but I was frustrated with how are all these characters together again.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen all their individual movies, and in all their individual movies, they're all either operating alone or with perhaps one of the other Avengers.
Yeah.
And which is fine. I liked that. Keep them a little bit more contained, but then you can't just get to Avengers: Age of Ultron and be like, "Oh, they're all best buds. They've been hanging out for a while now."
That intro fight scene was like, whoa.
So if you're gonna do it where everyone's in a different place, then you got to show me how they all come together. That's what was so great about the first Avengers.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that was great about Infinity War is that the Russo brothers did such a tremendous job of being like, this is where each character is. Like, they set that up very clearly, and then they have to assemble from that.
Yes.
Don't just be like, don't just smack them all together. Anyway, that's my big complaint about Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yep. Thor had a lot of great moments. Again, I hate this middle bunch because again we're getting super nitpicky. He wasn't immediately as likable of a character. It's fun to watch him get his powers stripped away and have to deal with being on Earth, having no powers, smashing coffee glasses on the ground, demanding horses from a pet store. That was all brilliant, well executed. I'm depressed that Hawkeye showed up and then did nothing because I feel
he was literally on screen for maybe 25 seconds total.
Yeah, I think I'm as anybody that's listened to the show before, I'm a huge fan of Hawkeye, and he doesn't get nearly enough love. The movie, the whole plot with the whole subplot with his girlfriend and the professor was a little bit more muddled to me, and
Eric Selvig.
Yeah, thank you. I can never remember his name. The Destroyer fight scene was pretty cool. It was pretty cool when he got all of his powers back. His group of buddies there seemed pretty auxiliary. They didn't have much of a personality.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of the Warriors 3 in any of the movies.
Yeah, it was annoying too because it made them seem like such throwaway characters in Ragnarok when they get decimated by Hela.
Yeah, back. There's kind of no. I'm like, oh god, thank God they're not in the movies anymore.
It's like I'm out of fucks to give about about his friends. It was what's his Jane Foster. Jane Foster. Well, I'm just not a super big fan of her character in general. It just was it was kind of a slow moving movie until like the last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So still a really solid movie, just it's just not as amazing as others. So that's my 14. 13.
Go ahead.
Guardians 2.
My 13 is Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Guardians 2, like I said, I'm a sucker for the Guardians, and I did like the plot. I loved the Even though a lot of people were like, well, Ego's obviously the villain. I did love the Ego being a bad guy reveal. It just really pulled at the emotional heartstrings with the way that he dicked over Peter's mom and Peter's like really personal, really powerful grudge match against his dad. There's a lot of weight behind it, even though there's like silliness. Him turning into a Pac-Man to go after him, I thought was fucking amazing because that is so Peter Quill. And that is Peter Quill with the power of a demigod, and it's just there are a lot of brilliant character moments, even though the humor, like I said, was a little meaner. But I guess it sort of fit. Yondu was really fleshed out, and he became an amazing character and an amazing his scene where he sacrifices himself.
Yeah, I did absolutely love that.
Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. Tell me about Ant-Man.
So the thing about Ant-Man is that I liked the character of Ant-Man. I liked
Scott.
Yeah, I liked the character of Hank Pym.
I thought it was a really smart move for them to go with Scott Lang rather than Hank Pym as being the Ant-Man.
I agree. But the things that keep it a little bit lower on my list, there's a lot of humor. I laughed a lot. You know,
Yes.
there were no groan moments, but the things again. So, and if anyone's listened to our podcast before, this is the kind of thing that I've complained about before. But anytime the physics don't, like, you know, we're talking about comic book physics,
Yeah.
so I understand that it's not real world physics. But if they're inconsistent, it takes me out of the movie.
Yeah, it's been a bit more of an egregious offender than some of the other.
Yeah, it's like just very simple things like if when you shrink, you retain your same mass, you're just hyper dense.
Yeah.
Then you don't put a tank on a keychain because the tank weighs like 10 tons.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're trying to tell me that Hank Pym's walking around with a 10-ton keychain.
Strongest must be the strongest man in the universe.
Yeah, you know, it's just, and there's more than that, but I won't go over every single one since we've talked about it before.
Maybe he created like a really like light polymer tank. Maybe he built it that small, and then when it expanded, it just was. Never mind. I'm not even gonna try. Yeah, I agree. And
the other big offense to that movie was that Darren Cross was just a really poor villain.
Yeah.
Really, really poor.
He was very mustache twirling. He was very kind of like kind of petulant child character. He was like, I deserve all these things. Why are people giving me these things?
Yeah,
and
he was intimidating 0% of the movie, and he was annoying 99% of the movie.
And he was an animal abuser.
Yeah.
Which was cool, because obviously he's a villain. Their fight scenes made me giggle a lot. They were very silly, a little bit over the top. Again, I don't mind that shit as much. Thomas the Tank Engine bursting out of the house was still fantastic for me, which is why Ant-Man is number 12 for me. So it's one step up from there.
Gotcha.
Guardians 2. What's your 12?
My 12 is Thor.
Thor.
Yeah.
we're pretty.
So we're all far. Now that we've hit 12. We're all every single thing 11 and up.
Everything that I adore to watch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually from 11 up are definite. They're like clear favorites for me.
Yeah,
I
stuff that I have like no issue watching over and over and over.
There's kind of 3 tiers, and that's 11 and up are movies I really like.
Yeah.
Then. Like 12 to about 15 are my, like, the ones I consider middling.
Yep.
As far as the MCU goes. And then 16 to 19, I'm like, I don't super love those movies.
Yeah. So, do you want to say a quick thing about Thor, or do you want to move to our 11?
Yeah, sure, I'll talk about Thor since I didn't really mention anything.
Yeah.
So, the thing about Thor is that it did have good humor, but it just seemed like it didn't quite know exactly what to do with the character.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, should we go full-on humor? Should we go, Shakespearean, high drama? Should we go really fantastical? Or should we go romance? It didn't really grab any one of those.
Yeah, it was trying to be too many things.
Yeah, I don't think it was trying to be too many things. I just think it was like it was afraid to commit to any of them.
That's a good way to put it. It's a very good way to put it. Cool. What is your 11?
My 11 is Captain America: The First Avenger.
Same. Same. That movie is such a awesome, fun, solid intro for the First Avenger. He is Tiny Steve Rogers. Will forever
Skinny
be,
Steve.
Skinny Steve Rogers will forever be one of my favorite people on the planet. Diving over that grenade, just never giving up. Just a good guy, grabbing the trash can lid as a shield, is foreshadowing. It's all wonderful. Having the world just shit on him, and he keeps getting back up.
Pretty much everything from the beginning of the movie through Star Spangled Man with a Plan, I love.
So good.
It's debatably like my favorite first half of any MCU movie.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. I know that you're not a fan that it had 2 montages, but honestly,
yeah, I don't. It was tough.
I liked seeing their exploits though. It was fun.
Well, that's the thing is that's where they fell into this trap of trying to do giving Iron Man 2 movies to get to Avengers, but Captain America only 1.
It still was paced pretty well.
The first half was, and like I said, I'm fine with 1 montage in a movie, and that was the Star Spangled Man with a Plan.
Yep.
And it was perfect because they even did a musical number in the freaking movie. You know what I mean? They managed to fit it in, and it didn't feel stupid.
What do you think would have worked better? Like they just kind of ended it with his exploits, and then Avengers starts with him crashing and getting frozen.
No, I really do feel like Cap should have gotten 2 movies.
Definitely should have.
Before Avengers.
Yeah, they definitely had a timetable that they were working with.
I think that what they should have done is.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have introduced Hydra a little bit more slowly.
Yeah.
You know,
Hail Hydra. Just seductively in the ear.
Hail Hydra.
Hey babies, Hail Hydra. What are you talking about? What are you doing later? You Hail Hydra tonight? Fuck you. I'll be there.
I wish that, okay, so you get to the scene where he goes to rescue the guys and he becomes Captain America.
Yeah.
And then they go full on montage.
Yeah. With all of his
the Howling Commandos.
Howling Commandos is very cool.
And I wish that what they had done with that was
just moved right on to the conflict with Red Skull.
I don't know, it's tough because you really want Captain America to be a huge presence in World War II, and I think that they wanted it to seem like he was around for a while.
Yeah.
But I think that because of his presence as the Star Spangled Man with a Plan, everyone knew about him. And then if you just show that the one main action sequence where he rescues the guy, and then thereafter goes on to the conflict with the Red Skull.
Yep.
If you do that and then you really publicize it, he can still become a really powerfully influential character because he sacrifices himself.
Well, and Red Skull was such a huge part of Civil War era propaganda Captain America. I feel like it would have even been
Civil War era. You mean World War II?
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of one of the next movies I'm going to be listing. I'm sorry. The World War II era villains. It would have been cool to see him. Red Skull kind of disappear and then reappear in a subsequent 1940s Cap movie.
Yeah, I think I would have really liked if they had just gotten one more movie in there and he didn't really truly defeat Red Skull in the first one, and in the second one it ends largely the same, but you just have more time to flesh out World War II Captain America.
Yep.
And then, we continue on as it is.
Yeah. Just a solid entry. Such a fun movie to watch.
Agreed. And really pretty. It looks... you feel...
It looks great.
In a lot of period pieces, you don't really feel... You feel like you're on a set. In this one,
No.
For the most part, you really felt like you were there.
Oh yeah, for real. And they did a great job of mixing that sort of typical Marvel sense of humor and sense of levity with like a kind of a grainier feel from
for my money, best romance in the MCU to date.
Oh, hands down.
The best chemistry between two actors, between an actor and an actress in any MCU.
No Pepper Potts.
She's good.
Yeah.
It's not about the guy or the girl in the set. It's about chemistry.
There's not as much passion between the two of them because she's always kind of like eye rolling Tony.
Yeah, it's like I like their romance, and aside from Peggy and Steve, definitely the best.
It's very well fleshed out, but it's not as like my heart burns for them.
Yeah, and it's kind of because like Tony kind of doesn't seem like he knows what he wants a lot of the time.
Exactly.
But with Steve and Peggy, it's like it feels. It doesn't come off as cliched. It doesn't come off as melodramatic. It's like we're two people who genuinely have very strong feelings for each other. Yet we're making the choice not to act on them because we have this really intense thing happening to us outside of us.
Yeah,
and then you lost your chance.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is heartbreaking.
Especially in the later movies where they explore her her Alzheimer's and everything. It's so sad. All right, number 10.
Thor Ragnarok.
Doctor Strange.
Okay, so I think we might start to like diverge a little bit.
Okay.
So, for Thor Ragnarok, again, I really, really liked the movie. Fun from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I laughed even more the second time than I did the first time, which is usually not true because usually a big part of a joke is a little bit of shock factor.
Yeah. And
watching it again the second time, I really just enjoyed the timing of everything so much.
It's very well done. Well, it's tough to... with the way that it was directed and just kind of like letting all the actors having fun with that, the way that was able to pull together and make and just have them improving it still be funny is a testament to the excellent setup and writing of the movie in the MCU and just the talent of the characters in general.
I agree. I think that if the plot for this movie was a little bit better, it would be in the top 5, but as it is, it's just it's really, really fun to watch. It's like you don't. I never even one time in this whole movie had like a rush of emotion. It's the whole movie is the whole movie is levity nonstop, it's very fun. But there's not a whole heck of a lot of heart to it, I think.
I think there's a decent amount, just not as much as some other movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's not heartless.
No.
It's just...
It's silly.
There isn't really anything that tugs on the heartstrings.
Yeah. I felt the tug a little bit, but...
At what point?
Every once in a while. Odin dying was kind of like a little bit that for me. Seeing the decisions... some of the way Thor was coping with some of his decisions were cool, and the genuine bromance that kind of blossomed between Thor and Big Hulk. That sort of happened around there.
Again, to me, that was all levity. There was really no heartstrings. The whole time, Thor was just manipulating him to get him to Asgard. To you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Although that one of the greatest scenes, not only in the MCU, but in a movie period, is the scene where Valkyrie is attacking Hela with all of the rest of the warriors on the winged horses.
It seems like 30 seconds long. It's very pretty, but...
That's all I'm saying about it. It's one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's done very beautifully.
Yep.
The CGI work on that was actually really quite amazing.
Yeah, that I still, when I think about that movie, that's one of the first things I think about is them riding into battle on their winged horses. Was dope as fuck.
Okay, and so that was my number 10, and what was yours again?
Doctor Strange. Solid all around movie. Really, Benedict Cumberbatch was a perfect fit for him.
Benedict Cumbersmooch.
Yep, Bandersnatch Cucumber. It's one of my favorite actors. I loved almost everything about it. The special effects were really cool in the way that they like seemed very realistic, yet they were also definitely doing an homage to the classic art style of the way that he used magic in the comic books, which was really dope. His character was a little bit derivative of Tony for me, like his whole character arc. I did like the kind of Tibetan setting though, and everything like that. And the ancient one was very cool. I like the way they explained magic in the way of like connecting to the energy that's caught between universes and everything. And they jump into like the string theory just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And also one of the best endings. Not one of the best, not very strong villains, but the way in which he defeated Dormammu was, I think, one of the greatest finales in the MCU to date. That was very creative. It was very powerful, very self-sacrificial. That really cemented him as like a good guy in my head.
Yeah, and it also fit thematically with the plot very well.
Yeah.
Both in the sense in the sense of sacrifice and in the sense of time.
Yeah, I agree. It fell a bit short for me in terms of some plot holes. Like you have the time stone. Like why are you using that shit more? Just Doctor Strange in general. Like I feel like there's a lot of stuff that he could have used the time stone for. Messed.
Like what?
I mean, pretty much the entire plot of that movie could have been.
But that's the thing. The whole thing is that using the time stone, playing with time can unravel reality.
Right.
So you can only use it in the most truly dire of circumstances.
Gotcha.
That's how I look at it, because if you can actually mess with time, it would be such a powerful thing that you would start really fucking with the multiverse.
I just feel like there were like not even there weren't some like world ending moments. I feel like there were a lot of very small things that he could have like split second stuff that if he had like frozen somebody or reversed time like for a split second.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. If you do that, that's how you unravel. I think the whole point is that using such a powerful thing for trivial things is very unwise.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I'm not. It's just the way that I see it.
Yeah. It just seemed like, and also I don't know. It just didn't seem. Doctor Strange is another one that I think could have used maybe one more movie before Infinity War, just to see him kind of develop as a character and develop his abilities a little bit more. I loved his cameo in Ragnarok, for sure, and that helps. But he's definitely a character that I think deserves more recognition.
Well, I think that he will. Personally, you'll see, but my ranking for that movie is quite a bit higher, and he was my favorite part of Infinity War. I loved that he was in. I loved his part in Ragnarok too. Like he is currently right now my favorite character in the MCU.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely up there for. He might be actually. Yeah, he's up there for me with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I like Spider-Man a lot.
Always Spider-Man. Yeah, I guess again, like this was really tough for me. It was really nitpicky. Like in the way that I'm ranking things, the way that I have the next three ranked, it was impossible to make the choices that I had to make. So it's like if you want to
no, I totally feel you.
Be mad at me, but whatever.
No, I'm not. Well,
no, I'm saying to our viewers or whatever.
To listeners, if you want to be mad at Tracy, that's fine. I support you.
Send it to our maxdean.org email. What's your number 9?
Captain America: Civil War.
Oh, mine was Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I loved Civil War.
Well, I'm not saying I'm surprised it's not Civil War. I'm just surprised Spider-Man's not in like your...
It was Spider-Man was super, super good. Like I said, like some of these were really awesome, but they were like very close together.
I thought that you would be colored by your love affair with Spider-Man a little bit.
I looked at them pretty critically.
I'm impressed, Tracy. I'm impressed.
Looked at them pretty critically. Spider-Man was fantastic. It was really fun. It was a jolly little romp through. Spider-Man being a kind of street level hero, Really, really cool villain sequence and everything. There were just a couple like I don't know. There were a couple pacing issues that I had with it, and there were a couple of moments where I don't feel like Spider-Man or his abilities were used to their fullest potential. But the father-son relationship between him and Tony was brilliant. His getting one of the most heart-pounding scenes in the MCU is when he's in the car with Toombs and he figures out his identity there. It was really, really well done. They managed to mix his life as... They did a good job mixing his life as an actual student, like just going after girls, trying to stay on top of his classes, trying not to get detention, with being a proper superhero. It was well done. It's parts of it just... and this actually, I might have ranked this lower just because I've seen other Spider-Man movies and read other Spider-Man comics and stories, and I kind of expected a bit more out of this one. So
I can understand that.
So I might have warped, my decision might have got warped in the opposite direction where I hold Spider-Man to a higher standard.
I see. So for me, number 9 with being Civil War, again, I really loved the movie.
Yeah.
And with as difficult as a task as it was to include all of those different characters, there's no doubt they pulled it off extremely well.
That's why I ranked it so much higher.
At the same time, for me, it kind of holds the overall plot back a little bit, trying to get everyone their moment.
Yeah.
You know, so... Plus, it's really long, so it's like...
Yeah.
For me... I guess... I don't know how to describe it. For me...
It's like the whole movie could have been avoided very easily.
What do you mean?
Like, just the entire...
Oh!
Just because Baron Zevon or whatever.
Warren Zevon?
That one. Yeah, Warren Zevon. What's his name?
Baron Zemo.
Zemo. Warren Zevon. Yeah, if Warren Zevon hadn't been there... honestly, I agree with you. I'll talk about it in a minute more in depth when we get to where I put Civil War, but it's his plot against to like pull the Avengers part was based on a lot of happenstance.
Yeah, it was based on a lot of happenstance, and when I sit down to watch Civil War, it's like I enjoy it, but I know when I start it, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be a while. It's like, you know, it feels very long.
They fill it with enough like cool character beats though that I find myself smiling the entire movie.
It's kind of like, so say for instance, I like it a lot, but you know, so if Avengers was on, just say for instance, and I walked through the room, I would literally stop in my tracks because I'm just sucked in that way. And it's the same for a lot of the other movies.
See, I'm sucked into Civil War in that way.
For me, it depends on exactly what moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there are a number of moments where it's interesting to the plot, but if I walk through a room, I would keep walking. And when we get to this level of nitpicking between which one is better, that's exactly why this is number 9.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, what was your 8? Mine was Thor Ragnarok.
Mine was The Avengers.
Okay.
Like I said, at this point, like everything above Civil War, I would not. Pretty much, if I see it on the screen, I would not be able to walk away for the rest of the film.
Yeah, I'd say at this point, same. Just honestly, I know from a more critical standpoint, Ragnarok might not have been as well put together as Doctor Strange, but I kind of let my emotions take over in that one, and I just get such a good, happy, warm, fuzzy feeling watching that movie, and that kind of drowns out any other criticisms I have of the movie. So that's all I have to say about that. It's super fun. I laugh the whole movie. The plot, there's not as much heart in it as you'd expect, but I don't know. damn it, I like it.
Yeah, you know, for me, I mean, I won't tell you the exact order, but basically, before the last few movies of the MCU came out, Avengers was in my top 5, and they just keep putting out such good ones that it's forcing Avengers slowly down the list. So it's just, you know,
Yeah.
it's tough.
I feel you.
Avengers is so near and dear to my heart. I love all the interactions. I love the pacing of the movie. Again, that's one where you see it's done right. You see the Avengers come together.
Yeah.
You know, you see them become a team.
They worked just the way that they keep the MCU rolling. Like they're so good with object permanence, I guess would be a good way to put it. Just knowing where all the characters are, knowing where all of the important players and pieces are on this board we call the MCU, making them work together in new and interesting ways. It was that was a fucking triumph of a movie.
Agreed.
That's why I put it a lot higher.
Yeah. It depends on which one speaks the most to you personally. I think when we get to this point.
Yeah, at this point again, we're being nitpicky, and our own personalities are coming out.
Yeah, for the Avengers, I really liked it. I really can't say anything wrong with the movie other than that. As we continue to go up the list, the other ones just hit harder. For me. That's all there is to it.
And I'm the same way. I don't really. I can't really think of too many bad things to say. My number 7 was Civil War.
My number 7 is Iron Man.
Nice. Like I said, Civil War, just the way that... Because I was amazed that Avengers could balance all the pieces as well as it did, and it did a fantastic job with that. I edged out Spider-Man and Thor with Civil War just for that fact, for the way it balanced almost more than twice as many pieces. Managed to make it pretty hard-hitting, and at the same time introducing new players like Black Panther and Spider-Man in a very cool and in a way that almost stole the show for me. I think Black Panther and Spider-Man almost stole the show, minus a really weak villain and kind of a circumstantial plot, especially towards the end where he was trying to get them all in that one bunker.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a movie that no matter where I am, I will sit down and watch. And that fight scene in the airport, again, I've said it before, not only one of the greatest fights in the MCU, one of the greatest fights in cinematic history.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's tough, you know. I'm looking at my different rankings, and it's just like, you know, if I had literally watched Avengers most recently, it might be a little higher. But I mean, for me, the reason that I put Iron Man over Avengers is because even if Avengers perhaps is a better movie, maybe, the fact that Iron Man was this brand new introduction to this new world, this new style, this new tone, you know, it's like, hey, guess what? We did a Marvel superhero right. Truly right. You know, that was... Seeing that movie in theaters was a whirlwind of emotions, you know what I mean? As someone who liked Marvel before and had seen so much garbage. Yeah. I mean, I think it was in 2007, the year before that everyone had pretty much nearly given up on superhero movies. Yeah. Because we'd had a whole bunch of really bad ones. Most recently, there were multiple bad Fantastic Four, bad Daredevil, bad Elektra, bad Punisher Warzone, bad Spider-Man 3, you know. It was just a whole bunch of crap. Yep. And then we had gotten... That year, 2008. I guess that year we got The Dark Knight too, didn't we?
2009.
The Dark Knight?
Yep. And 2011 was Rises.
Okay, so it was before that. It was before that resurgence. Yep. We had gotten Batman Begins, but that was a very different kind, so... Yeah, it was just... I think that, you know, in greater pop culture, that movie just stands
Yep.
as something so important.
I agree, and that's why I put it at number 6. I think Iron Man was a breakout hit. It was exactly the spark that we needed to light this fire that became the MCU. Was really, really well done, and despite a little bit of a weak finale, against the Ironmonger, really good all the way through. One of the strongest openings to a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, the thing about Obadiah Stane is that he was still kind of intimidating as a character, and he kind of became less intimidating when he took on the Ironmonger outfit.
Yeah,
because it's like he kind of went insane almost immediately.
He entered. He went from like being a menacing businessman, like a predatory capitalist, like to putting on a suit and like, well, let's see if I can operate it for the first time and defeat this guy that has way more experience than I do.
Yeah, and it's like, I have to admit, I'm getting a taste for it. It's like that.
No,
that's it. Just wasn't.
I really doubt it.
Yeah.
What was your number 6?
My number 6 is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Nice.
So, and I really, really liked that movie because it had been such a long time since I saw a really quality iteration of Spider-Man on screen. Plus, for me, again, I hate shit for the kids.
Yeah.
Done for the kids. But that's why I love this movie, because if you make a movie about teenagers that's well done, that's not too slapsticky, that's like...
It was pertinent. It was all pertinent.
It didn't feel... It felt like 15-year-olds. Real 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
Not dumbed-down versions of 15-year-olds that movie studios think
No,
are
they were complex characters. Spider-Man and all of his friends. I love all his friends. I loved MJ, I loved Liz, I loved Flash, I loved Ned Leeds. They were all great, and I love that they didn't throw a dumbed-down villain at him. Like, he was a... Toombs was a force...
The villain was a great part.
He did a great job.
I liked that they traveled a little bit, and we got to see Spider-Man in some places other than just New York City.
Yeah.
I loved that they, played with him being on an airplane, which is something I always kind of wondered, like, how he would handle that.
Yeah.
In, like, a live-action setting. I liked how he was on... They put him on the... I like how they took a place that they had shown previously in the MCU, which was the Washington Monument in Winter Soldier.
Yep.
And used that for a later movie setting. Like, I really liked that a lot.
Yeah.
I liked the dialogue. I liked pretty much the writing across the board. It was really well done. I thought really, really well done. Very fun.
Yeah.
Everything felt really earned in the movie.
Yeah. It definitely is. Spider-Man: Homecoming was awesome. Like I said, I just different things, little nitpicky things that I were just personal. Honestly, it's just me being impressed by certain things. Like, I don't know. I'm done explaining that. I picked what I picked.
Okay.
I'm not saying, and again, it was really tough making these. I love all of them. They're all fantastic. My number 5 was The Avengers.
Number 5 for me was Black Panther.
Nice. The Avengers. Like I said, like, even though Iron Man was amazing, I put The Avengers above it because I do honestly believe, in reality and in the themes of the movie, it was people coming together to become greater than the sums of their parts, and that really showed, and it was just a smash-out hit. It was massively influential to me as a moviegoer and as an artist and as a just a nerd in general. I had so much fun with it. Everybody got their due. They balanced the characters so beautifully, introducing them, showing why they're all important, and showing why they're all, like, make a good part of a team. Loki was an interesting and complex villain, and it introduced the concept of, like, somebody larger pulling the strings. Attack on New York, the fight scenes were lots of fun. The shield helicarrier was lots of fun. Hulk hulking out and trashing the place. Great, amazing character moments, amazing character beats, all across. Just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I loved it. Yep. I did. Black Panther for me is... The only reason it's not higher, I think, is because the story was incredibly well told. The acting was really well done. It was really beautiful. But in terms of some of the things, like, if to get any higher than number 5 on this list of movies, everything almost has to be perfect. And so I think the thing is that a lot of the CGI I was a little bit like not impressed by.
I agree.
The final fight between Eric Killmonger and T'Challa was very meaningful, but not visually super exciting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some of the ideas were cool, where they had the suits being like halfway dismantled by the train and stuff like that. That was cool. It just it ended up being like a little bit. I wasn't a super huge fan of the way that his. I know a lot of people really liked it, but I wasn't a super huge fan of the way that his suit grows over his body.
Oh,
I thought like seeing that once or twice was kind of a cool visual. But then I kind of felt like they relied on it a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they relied on that as like a cool visual. You know, you show me once, cool.
Yeah.
You show me twice, pretty cool. And then you show me it going back and forth through a fight scene. Over the top.
Oh, yeah, well, like when they would constantly remove their helmets.
Yeah.
Well, that's like with everything. That's to get FaceTime, and everybody does that. Tony Stark does it all the time. Spider-Man and Tony do it all the time in Infinity War.
I've been such more of a fan of a visceral suit.
Yeah.
Like, Tony's I liked in Infinity War because they spent so much time making it look incredibly amazing as it morphed and changed.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's, I didn't love how his helmet came off and on that much. But anyway, besides the point, it's just, I like visceral suits. I loved in Civil War when T'Challa takes the helmet off, he actually physically removes the helmet.
Yeah.
I liked in Iron Man 1 and 2 that when Tony wanted to take the helmet off, all it was the faceplate, like, flipping up.
I did too,
that
yeah.
looked really real and cool to me.
I know. Well, I think it was just them wanting to show, like, the progression of technology and stuff like that. And
I can understand that because they to get to a point where they're spacefaring. To get to a point where they're spacefaring, they want the technology to have improved substantially, so it doesn't look totally fake. But again, just look at the original Star Wars movies. You're flying all over space, but everything looks real. You know, I like things that look lived in, and the suits, the 2 Black Panther suits, they didn't look lived in. They looked like CGI to me, pretty much.
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't care about that so much. Everything else, the movie was too meaningful to me in other aspects.
Again, like I said, I'm like just digging for reasons.
Honestly. Me too.
But I loved it. I mean, it was a pop culture phenomenon.
Yeah, still is.
Huge movie. I mean,
still is. Yeah, it's fantastic for a reason.
It's super relevant.
Yep. Number 4.
Oh, your number 5 was the Avengers. Was that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Then my number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mine is Infinity War.
Cool.
Again, just gave us the best villain in the MCU. Made him amazingly well fleshed out, relatable, intimidating, like genuinely terrifying. When he showed up on screen, you were like, from the get-go, they set a tone, and they're just like, yeah, this movie, anything can fucking happen. He's popping heads and taking names, man. He is. Any time that he, especially the first go through, like whenever a character would show up in the same room as him, I was always, my butthole was clenched, man. I was ready for that character to die at any second. I didn't know what to expect from this movie, and the movie. I know that you knew a lot of what was going to happen already from having read the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. I had no idea what was going to happen. The end was that much more shocking because of it.
Well, I didn't really know what was going to happen because I had a pretty good idea of maybe what the finale might be like.
Yeah.
But all the stuff in between, I didn't.
Well, that's mainly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline he actually succeeded in snapping his fingers.
Oh, it's like the first thing he does.
That's insane. I had no idea that. I just knew that Cap died in that one. Everything in between, the fight scenes, the character beats, the way that they managed to make that movie such a mix of intensity and levity was mind-blowing to me. I would be laughing my ass off. It was one of the funniest movies in the MCU. The way that they made me manage to laugh my ass off and then like cower in fear the next moment was incredible to me. The way that they balanced the characters, even though not everybody met during the course of the movie, which I was kind of shocked at the end. Like certain characters never actually talked to each other. The characters that did interact, the interactions were really funny, really interesting. It was just fan service from beginning to end. Loved that movie. Loved it. There were a couple of moments. There are a couple of there are a couple of moments where I feel like they didn't do everything that they could have done. Like it's really tough to create a good pacing for a movie that's got that many moving parts. But what they accomplished with that was mind blowing to me.
For Guardians of the Galaxy, just a roller coaster of laughs with a surprising amount of heart.
Yeah.
Still to this day, the best one-liners in the entire franchise.
Hands down. I agree.
The inclusion of music being such a key part.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yep. It's a blast.
Yeah, just so much fun.
Blast from start to finish. Also, besides Doctor Strange, my favorite ending. Favorite ending in the
Yeah, I think.
And I love that.
Definitely.
I loved in Infinity War when they were like, "Tell them about the dance battle to save the universe."
Yeah.
Fuck yes. Oh.
Like Footloose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still the greatest movie ever made? It never was. I love that so much.
All right, so
Number 3
for me, Doctor Strange.
Really? That high?
Yeah.
I was wondering when that was going to pop up.
Yeah.
Black Panther for me. Black Panther hit me really hard and then kept rolling with the punches. It was so good from start to finish. I agree that there were some CGI issues, but I honestly didn't see that until my third, fourth, fifth watch through. Because I was just so entranced by the acting was top notch, the humor was top notch, the story was top notch, the themes shredded my heart. Like it was meaningful. It's a culture. It's a very like the way that they portrayed all the culture in that movie. It was the movie that America needed. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, if I could probably put number 3 through 5, like if I could tie them, I probably would have done that.
Same, yeah. But we're doing a ranking because we're masochists.
Yeah, and it's I didn't want to do 0.5. I didn't want to do tie, so we just sucked it up and
bit the bullet and did it.
For Doctor Strange, for me, I just enjoyed this movie so much. I thought they just did such a tremendous job of introducing something like magic into the world that's already in MCU. I mean, like, the way they introduced magic didn't feel like, I don't know, it didn't feel forced. It was like, well, yeah, magic's here, but, you're just locked in your own little way of thinking, so you'll never understand it unless you decide to open your mind. And the visuals are the best across the board. There is no film in the MCU with better visualization, better imagery, I think.
It is the movie is incredibly memorable. The every scene has something that you can visualize very prominently in your mind.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous. I mean,
the scene where he gets transcended, like for the first time, she touches his forehead and he
incredible. The mirror dimensions, incredible.
Yeah.
the
CGI animators were working overtime on that.
Oh my god, even Dormammu looked incredible to me.
His warping face.
Yeah,
and
like
colors.
it's such a challenge. How do you take a comic book villain that is a master over another dimension that is unaffected by time and make him visceral? Like, how do you do that? And they did it.
You're really making me regret my position. I might I might go back and
adjust
the setting, because the more we talk about Doctor Strange, the more I'm like, yeah, you're fucking right. That movie was so good.
Even though his character is a little bit similar to Tony Stark, he is different. Because he is arrogant, but he's not so lavish. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Tony Stark is just like as lavish can be, and
he's a bit more grounded as a person.
He is. He's arrogant but grounded, and I just got sucked so hard into that movie because
get that suck, baby. I'm sorry,
but even everything looked so freaking good. I mean, when.
Is it too late to retcon him and move him up to number 6?
Yes.
I think I'm going to move him
up. Nope. These
Fuck.
are the rankings, man.
Damn it.
But, so...
Oof. I need to trim my toenails.
Good.
Yeah.
Our listeners needed to know that.
Yeah, I don't care.
So... what else? I just wanted to rave about it for another second. It's so pretty. Like, the scene where he goes to visit the guy who's healed his spine through magic, and he's playing basketball. It looks so real. It looks so good. Kamartaj looks so good. Even the library looks amazing. The courtyard looks amazing. I mean, for the most part, like. Generally speaking, costuming was really good.
Yeah.
The actual visuals of the magic were really good.
My biggest disappointment in the movie is they really misused Mads Mikkelsen, I think is how you pronounce his name. He is a freaking wonderful actor, and he was such a I don't even know if I call him. He was a bit mustache twirling, but he was he was kind of blank. He was very flat.
I think the thing is that you can really see how he could have shined in the one actual moment where he and Doctor Strange go toe to toe in the New York City Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah.
And they're actually conversing.
Yeah.
And like there's so much good there that.
Yeah.
The fact that they basically didn't give him anything else to work with for the whole rest of the movie was a real big shame.
Here's the thing too is Mr. Doctor.
Strange.
That was his only moment.
Who am I to judge?
That was like
so great.
That was like his one moment. If they had made him a little bit more like that, like give him a little more banter and shit like that, I don't know, or even given him a more interesting motive. It was just like, I want to be immortal. I want to drop from the dark dimension, become mortal. I used to make all sorts of excuses, like that the Marvel universe was more focused on their making their heroes likable and relatable than their villains, and so the villains were always just kind of like, haha, I'm here as a foil. There's not much to me, but you will fight me. And you don't have that excuse anymore, Marvel.
Yeah, because
you made Loki.
We got Vulture, we got Killmonger,
we got Thanos. You can write good villains. You can do this. I believe in you.
Yeah. At least the last few, they've shown us that they are actually doing it.
You don't have an excuse anymore. That might also be a reason that I kind of bumped him down. Is just Mads Mikkelsen's such a good actor.
Yeah. So for me, just the way that I personally connected to the themes of the movie, and so it's just me walking into the theater and just some movies you fall into, and even with the way that I like to enjoy movies with kind of a critical eye, some movies they just take you and they put you in there, and then you're there, and you don't realize that you were in a movie until the end credits start, and that's how it was for me with this movie.
That movie, it's very well done. All right, it's not much left.
Nope.
So, number 2 for me is Guardians.
Guardians.
The original Guardians. Yep.
Okay, number 2 for me is Winter Soldier, Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Guardians. Again, everything. This movie was absolutely perfect. In every way. Like, again, like just getting to the point where I'm being super nitpicky. Getting to the point where, it all comes down to tiny things. It wasn't It was a perfect movie, except Ronan was also.
That was one of the reasons that it's at number 4 for me.
He's still. The thing though with him is because they had such a kind of plucky, just entertaining.
Don't call us plucky.
We don't know what it means. Yeah, that's why I thought of that the last second. Just because you had this group of just genuinely interesting, entertaining, goofball fucking characters, and against him, and he's just so like weirdly stoic, like angry, like I will cure it, like like pray to your paltry gods, and then
Are you doing?
distracting you, big turd blossom. Just having him, like, Gamora is a little bit more of a serious character, so when she interacts with him, it's very like, oh yes sir, oh I understand the gravity of the situation. None of the rest of them do, and they keep fucking with him anyway.
Oh man, I love it.
It was
Gamora,
just,
giving it to you.
just the way that
Subtle, taking it back.
the way that their kind of quirky personalities bounced off his flat affect was incredible to me. So I will forgive having a flat villain just because of the dichotomy between the two of them. It was so just genuinely organically funny.
Yeah, and again, I absolutely loved the movie so much, and that I would have liked someone a little bit. I would have liked someone who was a bit more. You know, it's the little things, like give him a costume that allows him to actually move his body.
Oh yeah, he was very. He looked like Stretch Armstrong a little bit.
Yeah,
like he was like very.
Yeah, and he's wearing the hood, and he couldn't really
he couldn't
turn his face without turning his whole body.
You can't see us, but we're doing like the T pose right now. We're like Ken dolling ourselves like Arnold Schwarzenegger at his most jacked, where he couldn't put his arms down all the way, like had muscle bound syndrome.
Yeah,
that's what he looked like. He had. He was very immobile.
But yeah. So that means for Winter Soldier for me, it's just, I think, as a standalone film, like if you took all of the Marvel movies and none of them existed in the greater universe, I think that Winter Soldier is still, like, I don't understand exactly how which Rotten Tomato score is what it is. It's like 89%. For me, I would expect like a 98. Like this, it's a political action thriller with, you know, thematic tones that are super relevant to the world we live in today. It's, you know, it asks real questions.
Yeah, it's
about morality.
Super pertinent. Yeah.
Steve Rogers is a great lead again, and Chris Evans doing that is great. Natasha Romanoff is really good as that. You know, I didn't love Winter Soldier as much in Civil War, I think, but I really liked him in.
I loved him in Civil.
I thought it was.
I have a huge.
Not bad, but
after Chris Pratt, I have the biggest man crush on Bucky, on
Sebastian Stan.
I almost said Anthony Mackie. It's Sebastian Stan. Yeah. I do have a huge man crush on Anthony Mackie too.
It's a great introduction of Falcon. You know, Robert Redford as Alexander Pierce.
Fucking
really good.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a movie that managed to subvert expectations.
At every turn, yeah.
You know, and it just did such a tremendous job of taking a character who's like, I stand for all that is good, and everyone's like, yeah, that's who Cap is, and then you're like, but what's good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. The world's a way more complicated. Like he's a very simple point me in the direction of the bad guys, but he doesn't know who the bad guys are this entire film, and I think they did a great job showing how conflicted this new world is, where information is the new weapon, where people, you have governments and people with agendas like working inside, and it makes the world feel like much more of an insidious sort of place.
Yeah, to me, basically, you could have changed the titular character to anything else and had the exact same story and the exact same writing, and it would have just stood alone as a tremendous movie.
Completely agree, and that's why I put it as my number one, because in terms of the overarching MCU, it is a perfect movie to me. Like it genuinely is a perfect movie. It's writing, acting, best action scenes, probably the best action scenes in the MCU.
Yeah, the most visceral feeling.
Yeah, without being like too over the top, like
bloody violent,
like gross out. Like it was, everything hit hard. The themes of
and I love how Cap always he uses guns in the first one, and he uses guns in Avengers a little bit.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to Civil War, he's honed his skills so much that he's like, you can kind of tell that he always pulls his punches. And to be able to pull that off visually, because he doesn't really want to hurt anybody. Yeah. That he's like he's like, I am a warrior, but he kind of has that kung fu style way of when I do battle, it's not to hurt my opponent.
Yeah, he's just like a world class kickboxer.
It's I can't say enough good things about this movie.
Yeah, just him. Black Widow was incredible. Added so much to the movie. Again, I think she could have been the lead if they wanted to change the title. We see. It's probably the most we see Nick Fury doing in any movie. Definitely.
He's a legitimate supporting cast member in this movie.
Yeah, the political espionage thriller. The introduction of the Winter Soldier was so brilliantly done. He was a terrifying character. Then you realize that he's actually Bucky back from the dead, and you get all that, like all those sorts of emotions. And
did you know that he was Bucky before you watched the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. But I still think the reveal was brilliant. I don't know. I can't say enough good things. The themes that traveled through the movie, the way that I felt during the movie, the way that they presented Hydra. Hydra was very threatening, very real in that movie. It didn't feel like a goofy member order of the SS or something like that. That they were like, no, we did this. We're taking over and we're killing millions of people today. Press that button, bitch. I don't know. It edges out everything just a little bit. It's just too perfect. It's too fine-tuned a movie for me.
Okay, so that leads me to my number one.
Infinity War?
Which is Avengers Infinity War.
Wow. That surprised me.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved that movie.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Me too.
It's
like you said, if I could tie the top four, I would.
Yeah, I think that Infinity War... So basically, like I said, if you were to take all of these movies and put them together separate why do you always ask me the same day, Juan? Fucking sorry. Sorry.
My boy Max is getting called in for work.
I'm already.
I was gonna say you're already working.
Yeah.
You can't cover him.
Anyway,
it's getting toasty in here.
Yeah, it is. We'll finish up soon. It is definitely getting warm.
We've reached number one. What else can we do besides plug us and end?
Yeah, pretty much. But I want to talk about Infinity War real quick because I didn't really mention anything about it when you were talking about it at number 5.
We should start plugging ourselves like in the beginning or the middle, so people don't like sign off unless they want to hear one of our signature, fantastic improvised endings, which are always good.
So. For me, Infinity War is... what I was saying is that in Winter Soldier is truly standalone as a movie.
Yeah.
Infinity War, you can't have it without all the others. But it's such a mastery of the shared universe.
Unless you decide to go see it with no other context, like some reviews. It still kills me.
You
It
know,
just seems like the characters were appearing out of nowhere, and I'm like, fuck off, dude.
when in reality there was so much time and effort and thought put into
Oh my god,
putting
yeah.
to drawing each character back together from all these different places that they've been set up.
A movie like that could not have been pulled off any other way. Like, you needed all of that backstory.
Yeah. So for me, I absolutely. So as beautiful as the fight scene was in the airport, the fight on Titan is the best, no doubt for me.
Oh, hands down. Yeah, that's why I hesitated when I was like the fight scene in the airport, because then I immediately thought of the fight on Titan. I was like, fuck, that was a good fight scene.
Yeah, to me that it can't be beat anywhere in the MCU. I mean, because it's like, so the Avengers themselves, up until the point of Civil War, all of their powers are relatively grounded.
Yeah.
So you have a couple of guys in suits and a couple of guys who are good at fighting like the wildest powers.
I'm not doing that. I don't know where that's coming from.
Bug somewhere.
There's a bug in the house. Run. Light it on fire.
The two most crazy powers are Vision and Wanda, and then after that are Ant-Man and Spider-Man. But they're
not Doctor Strange?
he's not there in Civil War.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm
Oh,
talking
that's what
about.
you're talking about. Okay, okay.
So in that fight scene, you have a whole bunch of different characters, but most of them are all like hand-to-hand combatants.
Yeah, and I thought it was smart of the movie to have, because that was one of the things, that's something that Stan Lee is famous for saying, like when he has his own heroes fighting each other, is he kind of makes it so nobody ever really wins. Mm-hmm. And I think that's smart, because if you do a true power gauge or power level, because every situation, every fight would be circumstantial, because
for
they
sure.
each have a different skill set. Some of them are better with stealth, some of them are better with just raw power, some of them are better with like single powerful strikes and stuff like that, and some of them are better with like stamina, like long-winded fights.
But basically it was a very well balanced fight scene. But when you get into a scene where you have all these characters who have all these very fantastically different abilities.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Doctor Strange using magic, the mystic arts. You have Tony Stark with his super advanced suit. You have Spider-Man swinging around doing his aerial acrobatics.
They made him so strong.
Yeah.
Which I loved, because
me too.
He's incredibly strong in the comics. Like I think I've mentioned it. I think I mentioned this in the very first episode. They did like a power scaling, and Spider-Man can like lift something like he can bench press like 20 tons or something like that. He's incredibly strong in the comics when his powers are fully matured, and they show him like stopping cars with his bare hands, and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's his level of strength. Mm-hmm. He saves Tony in Infinity War from that one dude's about to like level him, and it felt like in the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans and in the Amazing Spider-Mans, he was very weak.
Well, he was grounded. He was more grounded.
His super strength was more that he could get the shit kicked out of him and keep fighting.
Well, I'll get to that in just a second, but back to the Titan scene.
Yeah.
You have Mantis, who has powers over emotions. You have Star-Lord, who has technology that's, different than just an iron suit, and then you have Drax, and then they're all fighting this guy who has four Infinity Stones and is as strong as the Hulk and super smart. So for me, that will always be the best fight. I mean, I say always. I'm sure they'll maybe someday top it, but if you compare it to anything that's come before that, it's incredible, because it all just flows together so well. And but real quick in response to the Sam Raimi version of Spider-Man, the problem is that if you make Spider-Man as strong as he is in the comics, then he's kind of invincible. Because in the world of the comics, you have so many other characters and other things that can challenge him. Yeah. That if you were to make Tobey Maguire that strong, no one would be a challenge. Yeah. You have to kind of. Then you'd have to make Green Goblin, like, outrageously strong. And you know what I mean? Like, if you do that in a contained movie, it just gets too crazy too quickly. It's like all of a sudden you've jumped from, like, I'm a human to, like, I'm Dragon Ball Z level.
Well, in the comics, Goblin wasn't as strong as Spider-Man. He was very strong, but he wasn't as strong. But his abilities came from his his resources and his bag of tricks that he would use, because he had all sorts of Goblin themed boomerangs and knives and bombs and stuff like that, and that was more of it. He was great at fucking with Spider-Man's emotions, fucking with his personal life, and leading him into situations.
Well, it was the same in the movie. All I'm saying is that I think in a movie where there are no other superheroes in the world, it was wise to keep him a little bit closer to
a normal Joe.
Yeah.
That was, well, because a company, honestly, Spider Sense, man, it's basically precognition. I've said this before. If you have something like that, there's very little that you can, that can hurt you. Mm-hmm. If you can dodge bullets, man, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, and I really like Spider-Man's skill set. When I was a kid, he was the one I always imagined myself being, because there was a freedom to him. It's almost like he can't be hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have the ability to fly, yet not fly, and you can fall forever and land, be fine. You're super strong.
That's why he's so much fun. Also, to move to the video game medium, it's way more fun to play with him, because there are rules to his ability that, like, especially that's why the first and last thing that you should consider when you're making a Spider-Man game is the web swinging mechanics, because that is the most fun part of being Spider-Man. Like his agility, his athletics, his natural web swinging, because that's like something that has rules. If you're flying, like if you create a video game that's based around, like, look at Superman 64 or something like that, or any game where flying is a mechanic, it gets boring after a while, because you're just like,
yeah.
Nothing you have to look for. It's why he's so much fun to, like, consider being.
Plus, he's invulnerable. Like, why would you ever want to play a video game where you're Superman?
That's why the game was just atrocious. Anyway, if anybody's ever played, you just fly through rings the entire game. That's every level. Or pick up cars and blow them up for some reason, because Superman does that. It's just his agility makes him fun. Like, it's not to imagine yourself going up against a bad guy and him shooting you, and they're just like ting ting off your chest. It's much cooler to imagine yourself doing, like, Neo style Matrix dodging moves.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. All right, so let's do our plug for our stuff and sign off.
Yeah, I'm Tracy, and I have an Instagram, Viva La Frank. It's Viva La France.
It's mostly dick pics.
Yes, it's entirely dick pics. It's Dick's helicoptering on loop. All day, every day.
All gifts.
That's all my gifts. It's Viva La Frank. It's Viva La France with a 3 at the end instead of the E. And it is all of my artistic endeavors, plus any cute animal photos or memes that I decided to post. So if you want a good giggle, you can try that out too. I've been drawing lots of, for funsies, sort of stuff. Been practicing different art styles, drawing superheroes, and posting original characters and original art from our collaborative comic book universe that Max and I have been working on.
Okay, and we have a website that's called maxstein.org, and that has all of our podcasts, that has some of our concept artwork, some promos for our upcoming comic book series.
Might have more artwork right now than my Instagram. It has a lot.
It has a lot, but I think some of the stuff that we put there is, like, a little bit less polished. I think you're kind of putting more polished.
I'm trying to put, like, my finished products.
Yeah. So on our website you can see a little bit, like, true concept art, true concept sketches, stuff that has just been done on the fly.
Yeah, please, and again, just real quick, please DM me. I am doing commissions. I would love to work with you. I discuss my rates. I'll get some more specifics on how much I charge for doing artwork, but I love doing sketches.
And then If you're a listener to the podcast, then send us an email at maxwelldean@maxdean.org and let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you'd like to hear about. You know, if you'd like something read aloud, a little personal letter you'd like the other listeners to hear from you to them.
Yeah.
Or to us, to them, to include everybody, then please do that because
that tasty interaction.
We'll do a dramatic reading.
We're waiting for it. Yeah. Give us anything. If you want us to read a box of cereal, if you want us to read fan fictions about ourselves, if you want us to read Garfield the Cat cartoons, I'll do it. I'll give you my best movie voice. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yep.
Class. Or if you'd rather hear it in Max sultry tones. Or we could sing. Can you feel the love tonight? Benny and the Jets. Benny!
Closer, time to
dance. I used to think that he was saying "Hold Me Closer," Tony Danza.
Good old Tony Danza.
Tony Danza.
Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka.
I can't stop this feeling
ooga, ooga,
deep
ooga
inside
chaka,
of me.
ooga chaka, ooga, ooga,
Girl,
ooga
you
chaka,
just
ooga,
don't
ooga,
realize
ooga, ooga,
what you do to
ooga
me.
chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga,
when you
ooga,
hold me
ooga chaka, ooga,
in your
ooga,
arms
ooga
so
chaka,
tight,
ooga,
you
ooga,
let me
ooga
know
chaka, ooga,
everything's
ooga, ooga
alright.
chaka.
Hooked on a feeling, meow, meow, meow. I'm high on believing it, that you're in love with me.